Today's target is I can identify the factors that make a region unique. And so we're going to really look at three different communities today: the urban, the suburban, and the rural communities. Really, factors is just what makes it that. What are the characteristics that make it the community? Okay. So the first thing you're going to do is watch my video, which you should be watching now, and then you're going to go into the seesaw activity and complete the seesaw activity today to show your learning. All right, let's go ahead and go into the seesaw activity. Today, once you get into the seesaw activity, you need to make sure you're in Miss Fitz's 2020-2021 class. If you're not, you're going to come over here to your name and you're going to find that class in the drop down menu. Then make sure you're in activities. Today, you're going to look through each slide. You're going to identify what community is shown in the slide. Then you're going to record what community the slide is and how you know, and then you're going to turn in your work. So, to do this, you're going to add a response, going to find your name, and it's going to open up the activity for today. So, yesterday we learned what urban, suburban, and rural communities are. Urban communities are like big cities with big buildings, lots of people, a lot of public transportation. Not as many people have cars, even though we know that there still are lots of cars. All right. And then we have the suburban community that's more like Arvada, where you have houses, but not as many big buildings. You have people, but not as many people. And you have a lot of like yards, and you see a lot of people walking their dogs and school buses and all kinds of great things and parks. All right. And then we have the rural area. The rural community is where you see a lot of land, not a lot of houses, not a lot of people. A lot of the times you'll see farms or farm animals in rural communities. All right, so those were the three communities you learned yesterday, and today we're going to identify those communities based on the slideshow. So let's go ahead and look at each slideshow, and then I'm going to teach you how to actually do the project for today. Okay, so first we're going to look at each picture, and I'm going to kind of explain what I'm seeing, but I'm not going to tell you if it's urban, suburban, or rural. So the first picture I see looks like it's an open field that maybe it's on a farm because I see a barn, so there might be animals in the barn. I don't see a lot of houses. I don't see a lot of people. The next slide, I see tall buildings, public transportation, and lots of people. In this slide, I see houses that aren't big, tall buildings, but there are lots of houses, and there's grass and a school bus, and it looks like even a car right here in the driveway. In this slide, I see large buildings and lots of people, and it looks like this is like a bus stop, so public transportation, and I see a Capitol building. In this slide, I see a train, I see open fields, I see cows, I see trees, and I don't see any houses or even people. In this slide, I see houses all in the background here. I see a community pool, and I see grassy areas, maybe a park with a girl walking a dog. In this slide, I see lots of big buildings, lots of traffic, and this one even has traffic all along the street here. So it doesn't look like there's a lot of places like driveways or anything to park in. On this slide, I see like a park, I see some fields, but I still see lots of houses right here. Not tall houses, but quite a few houses. And I see a shopping center. And finally, in this slide, I see a farm with maybe beans growing with crops. And I see a lot of open space with very few houses. So a lot of open space here as well. And then I'm going to come back to the last slide in just a second. Okay, let's go back to the first slide, and I'm going to do the first slide for you so you can see what you're going to do now for each slide. So you're going to use this voice recorder right here to tell me what community this is. Is it an urban, a suburban, or a rural community? And then how do you know? So here we go. You're going to push the microphone, and then when you're ready to record, you're going to push start recording. This is a rural community. I know this because it looks like a farm. There are not a lot of houses, very few houses. There are no tall buildings, and there really aren't a lot of people. I also think this because this is a barn, and I'm guessing there are farm animals in it. When you're done, you click the microphone again, and then you're going to push done. Don't forget to push done, and then your answer is saved in the slide. All right? Then what you're going to do is the exact same thing for each of these slides. So you're going to record what community it is and how you know for every single slide. Okay? And then finally, you're going to get to slide 11. Slide 11 is a little bit different. On slide 11, I don't want you to voice record. I want you to add text. All right? And the question is, what community do you live in? How do you know? And so I'm going to click this T to add to text. And you guys, I live about 50 minutes away from Arvada. I live quite far, 50 minutes. And so I don't live in the same community as you. So please don't copy down my answer, but I am going to tell you what kind of community I live in. I live in a rural community. I know this because there are farms all around me, and there are few houses and few people. Okay? And I was typing, and then I'm going to adjust so I can see it. And thank you, Adam, for teaching me this. So I can adjust by just moving this around. But since I wasn't able to see everything while I was typing, I'm going to go back and I'm going to check my work and make sure I have capital letters, the C, then the U, understand, it makes sense, the P, punctuation, and the S, spelling. I live in a rural community. So I have a capital letter, punctuation, it makes sense, and my spelling looks good. All right, I know this because there are farms all around me and there are few houses and few people. Good. I have a capital letter, punctuation at the end, and my spelling looks great. So, when I'm all done with this project, what I'm going to do is I'm going to then turn it in for a grade. And so, when you're all done, you're going to push this check mark to turn it in. Now, remember, you most likely don't live in a rural community. I just did this based on the community I live in. And remember, I live almost an hour away from Arvada right now. Okay? So then when you're done, you're going to push the check mark and you're going to submit your work. All right. I look forward to seeing your answers. And remember, if you need anything, to go ahead and send me a chat in our Google Classroom. Besides that, I can't wait to see everything. Have fun with this.